here we are, the second portion of it. Only got a few more questions, but there's something that I need your help, and I would like if you could help me out with. There's this feeling, I don't know, just this part in my heart that is kind of missing. I will ask if you could fill it up with a couple of questions, to answer a couple of questions. It's about my grandfather, your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about him, because I would like to know a little bit more about him. So just, I know you say he was mad funny, and I would like to know more about the parts that you looked up to.
Yeah, he was my everything too. He was my superhero. He was my everything. He was Sylvester Stallone and all those guys, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all those guys wrapped into one. He was the toughest guy. He was the coolest guy. Mm-hmm. He was the smartest person. Mm-hmm. He was all those things. And it was cool to have him as my dad. He was around till I was probably like 12, and then he bounced and was gone for a while. And we got back together when I was like 18, and we spent like a year in Mexico together, and like another year in Minneapolis together, and then he passed. But it was cool though. I mean, I learned so much from him, and the things to do and the things not to do. Mm-hmm. And I tried to pass those on to you, but there's many moments that I wish he was still he was still around.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Give me one memory that you just like will probably be the best memory, or your favorite memory with him.
Man, there was so many. I like the funny stuff. The times that he made me fight too. That was probably one of the coolest moments. Was the time when the kid knocked me off my bike, and I went up there. He was watching a softball game, and he saw that the kid knocked me off my bike and was going to try to take my bike. And he saw that I was coming. He was like, "Don't come up here." Mm-hmm. He said, "You better go down there and whoop that kid's ass." Whoop his ass. Yeah. And I'm like, I did exactly what my dad told me to do. I'd rather,
obey your parents.
And I went down there, and they had to stop the softball game to come and get me off of this kid. And then they turned around looking at my dad like, whose kid is this, and blah, blah, blah. And he stood up, big and proud, all 5'9", 5'10", big and proud, and he was like, "That's my son." What? And then, my dad always stayed strapped. Even if he was a preacher, he was a minister, but he stayed strapped too. He always had guns in the house. He wasn't a dummy either. Like that, to protect his family. Right. But sure enough, man, he whipped his little coat back and showed his little piece, and everybody just stopped. And I could hear him walking down the stairs, man. I could hear his footsteps coming down the bleachers. Mm-hmm. That was the only thing you could hear. Mm-hmm. And he come down there and he grabbed me, and he grabbed the bike, and the kid was laying down there crying and everything. And we started walking away. And you could hear people murmuring in the background, but he didn't care. So he's walking with me. He didn't say nothing for a long time. And we finally hit the corner, and couldn't nobody see us, and he turned into a little kid, man. He was like, "Oh, man, that was great, man. You was whooping him up, Jack. You was beating him up." He was like, "Yeah, that's my man. That's my man." Wow. He got home and tried to tell my mom, and my mom got mad. "What are you doing making him fight?" He did it on his own. And but it was my dad. He was like that, he was a jokester, but he was straight up. He was serious at the same time. He was a good man, very intelligent man, knew a lot about everything, way ahead of his time. He studied like all the Mayas and the Aztecs and the Incas and all of that stuff. He studied history, and he made a few statements that were pretty big. He said that he said by the year 2000 that, and this was something he prophesied long time ago. Now let's remember, he passed in like 1987. But he said in the future, I can't remember the date, so I'm not going to put a date on it. But he said the Latin Americans will be the biggest minority in the United States. And what's going down right now? What is it?
So many of
There's
us
so
here that
many
they're trying to kick us
they're
out.
trying to close the borders.
Trying to close
because
us
there's
out.
so many here. And just like, everything, nobody's going anywhere.
Right.
Here to stay. So get used to it and get along with it and learn it. He said y'all better learn Spanish. And right now, what's going down? And remember, he died in '87, so he was a visionary. He understood.
Man, 87. I missed him by a few years. Just a few years.
Just a few.
If what would you say? Like, what do you think he would say about me? Like, what do you think he would like think
Oh man,
about?
I think you guys, you and your sisters and your sister and brother, they would be his world, because he was very loving and loved his children. And I have older brothers in Minneapolis, and I don't know how close he was with their children or whatever, but he went back there, so I'm sure he got to know them and be around them and stuff. So
Which
I know he loves kids.
We gotta make that
I know
trip.
he loves kids. Yep. Shout out to all my people in Minneapolis and St. Paul and Minnesota, period, and North Dakota, DI, and all my aunts and uncles and cousins out there,
All right.
and brothers
Would you
and sister.
what do you think? Really like closing your eyes and thinking about the terrific job that you did raising us. What you think he would say to you about the job well done you done thus far?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he'd be you learn something, because I did learn something from him. That if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. And I don't believe in this non-spanking and stuff like that of your kids. If your kids are out of control, you better get them under control before they be in two places, the big house and your house. You know what I mean?
True that.
For real. So it's my
I'm here to
job.
vouch for
It's
that.
my job
work.
to make sure that doesn't happen. It's every parent's job to make sure that doesn't happen. So all this time out and everything like that, I don't really agree with that. And I'm not about stifling a child. That's not what I'm saying. There's creativity, and you help bring out the creativity. But the badness and the badassness, that's the part that you help correct, and then you raise respectable children that turn into productive, respectable people.
Okay, all right. If there was Grandpa Chico, he pulled up, he came out that door right there, and you had 2 more minutes to say whatever you wanted to say, what would you say to him? Today, right now, after everything you've been through and having us, what would you say to him?
I would say, don't go anywhere. I don't want you to miss this. Watch what happens next. Because of you, all of this is going to happen. Because of my mom, my brothers and sisters, my kids' mom, myself. This is for y'all.
Dad, this actually was a father appreciation meeting actually, and there's something that I wanna show you and play for you, and you guys all out there, you guys gonna have to go look it up. But I'm about to share a moment. The thing is, you said make sure it's better to give the flowers to the person. Okay. Pretty much.
Yep.
While they still can smell the roses.
Sure.
All right, so I got something for you now, and like I said, it's to clear it up. All the things that if there was any maybes, ifs, and what, a song for you, and there might be a little extra on it, and you know what I'm talking about. You're gonna know what I'm talking about as soon as you hear it. But all I ask for you is to pay attention to the good message to the song, because I want you to actually listen to the words, because it started off being a letter to you and turned into a song. And you can tell because I say in the beginning, I said dear Dad, and at the end I said sincerely, me. So Tell me what you think.
One thing I do want to say is that I hope and I pray that I'm around to see what you do with yours.
That's gonna happen for sure.
Right?
For sure.
So y'all take care. God bless.
God
It's
bless.
your boy, Bamboo,
See you.
Chico Federlucci, a.k.a. Aaron Ybarra Sr.